Hello friends and welcome to Aksh Animation. So we have brought an interesting tutorial for you. Today we are going to create this icon and this long shadow effect with Adobe Illustrator. In our earlier tutorial, we have made this effect using After Effects. But now we are going to create this using Adobe Illustrator from scratch. So let's begin. Let me select all these shapes and put it aside because we will just use it for reference. Go to Object, Lock, Selection. I'm locking it so that it might not get selected even by a mistake. Okay, now let's create this background first. So take Rectangle tool and create a rectangle. I'm not going to measure it, just doing it with my visualization. Now pick the color and I'm going to set its transparency to 20% because I'm going to create this icon over this rectangle and it will help us to see it clearly. Now let's lock it. In first step, we are going to create this rectangle. So take rounded rectangle tool and create the rectangle here. Use up and down keys to change the roundness of the rectangle while drawing it. Let me swap this color because I don't need any fill color on it. I need only stroke. Now open stroke property, keeping the rectangle selected, and let's increase stroke width to 80 points. I think it's too much, so let me change it to 70 points. Perfect. Let me put it to the center. Now let's create the space for upper squares. So create a rounded rectangle and as before use up and down keys to change the roundness. And now I need color on the fill, not on the stroke. Now let me change its color in order to differentiate both shapes. Now place it above to the rectangle and transform it if you feel that it needs so. It will be easier to do it on zoom level so that we can have exact measurement. Now select both shapes and in Pathfinder panel use minus front option. But it's not going to make it because it's just a stroke and there's fill color on the upper square. In order to make it, we need to have fill color on the rounded rectangle too. So what we can do, just select this rectangle, go to Object and expand it. We don't have fill on the selected shape, we have just a stroke. Now if you look here, there is no stroke on the rectangle. It has fill color now. So now we can use minus front option on these shapes. But first let's duplicate this shape by holding Alt key on Windows or Option key on the Mac and just drag it. Now select all shapes and click on minus front button. Now take the rounded rectangle tool and let's create the upper rectangle. And again, I'm not going to measure it, just using my visualization. Okay, fine. Let's duplicate it as we have done previously. Zoom out it. I think I should shrink these rectangles a bit. Okay, now we have to create these tiny boxes. So take rectangle tool, zoom it, and now just draw a rectangle. Now I'm not going to copy it several times because that will take much time in positioning and aligning them. Instead of that, we have an easy way to do it. Just go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and apply Transform Effect. In this dialog box, check this preview option to see the live change that you make. Now I want to make copies of the rectangle in horizontal order. So just tell it how much copies you want, and in the move parameter just increase the horizontal options value and it will make copies something like this. And you can adjust its amount to get desired space. Just OK it. Let's put it to the vertical center. Now we need two copies of it in vertical order. So again apply the same effect. Click on apply new effect. Now you have to repeat the same process, but this time we are going to increase vertical amount. Again adjust it to get desired spacing between the squares. Great, but I think squares should be some more big. So zoom it And let's make squares some big holding down Shift Control on Windows or Shift Command on the Mac, and it will scale it from the center. Now we need to change the spacing between the squares. So open Appearance tab, and here you will get both transform effects which we have applied. So let's open this one. Now let's increase the spacing. And always check this preview option so that you can see changes. Not just adjust it. It's completely up to you how you want it. Okay, now let's open the second one and change its value to 68 pixels also. So spacing is looking fine now. Just adjust its position and keep it to the center. You can also use Align panel to do it. Now it's time to create the shadow. So let's unlock the rectangle first. Let's change its opacity to 100% and make sure it's in the back of all other shapes. Now let's lock it again. Select all these shapes and change their color to white. Now keeping all shapes selected, make a copy of them because we will need to put it above to the shadow. Put it aside and group them by pressing Ctrl or Command Z. Now in this icon, we don't need these tiny boxes to generate the shadow. So let's delete them. Now select all other shapes and group them. And let's make a copy of it holding down Alt or Option key and put it at proper distance. Now we are going to use blend effect. So select both shapes and go to Object, Blend and choose Blend options. And here set spacing to specified steps. Now let's set it to 50. Now again go to Object, Blend and click on Make. It will create a blend between these shapes, but you can see these tiny jerks here. This is because our specified steps are not appropriate to create the smooth blending. So let's undo it. Again go to Object, Blend and choose Blend options. Now let's increase the steps to 120. Now let's create the blend again. So you can see edges are smooth enough to create the shadow. To give it a look of shadow, we need to fill color in it. So let's expand it by going to Object, Expand. It will just break all in between shapes. So just unite them all. Now let's use gradient on it. Now just play with the gradient tool and adjust colors. I am going to swap the colors in this panel because it will be far easier than swapping colors by gradient tool. Now just play with the gradient tool and adjust colors. It's completely up to you how you want the shadow. Now let's change its color. So just double click on it. I am using this swatch mode. So let's choose the color. I am going to use this dark green. And white color is just okay. Now let's put this shape over to the shadow. Zoom it and place it accurately over to the shadow. Now select the shadow and let's down the opacity of the green color to 50%. Now let's adjust gradient again. And as I have told you, it's completely up to your visualization. I think green color's opacity should be more down, say 40%. Now we have to get rid of this extra shape. So unlock the rectangle again. Now select the rectangle and the shadow together. Take Shape Builder tool and come over to this extra shape. Now press Alt or Option key and just click on it to detach this extra shape. Just delete it. Now let me set gradient one more time to give it some realistic look. Fine, we have created a cool icon. So this is all guys, and don't forget to subscribe our channel to get more stuffs. Thank you.